In the Impact segment tonight, as you know, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments this week on 2 gay marriage cases. We can expect rulings to come down probably in late June. Despite that timeline, the cover of Time magazine has declared gay marriage already won. Joining me to react in our New York studio is Cathy Erwin. She's a Washington Post magazine contributing editor. And here with me in D.C. is Fox News contributor Sandy Rios. Let's start with you, Cathy. Look, the way I look at it is, without a doubt, the polls are showing increasing support for gay marriage among young people and so forth.
Right.
There's some questions about whether the polling oversamples support. As we saw before Prop 8 was voted on, it showed that actually Prop 8 was not as popular, and yet it passed, right? So
right.
There is some concern that people are afraid to say that they're not for gay marriage, whatever the case may be. We do have statistics to look at. 31 states ban same-sex unions in their state constitutions. You only had 4 recently who said, yes, gay marriage is fine, Maine, Minnesota, so forth. So the states have spoken, and the states so far haven't shown a universal or even majority support for same-sex unions. So what's going on with Time magazine?
Well, Time magazine is right. Gay marriage has won in so many ways. It's an organic movement. This is something that even gay activists did not think was possible 20 years ago. No one was even pushing for gay marriage. And 20 years have passed, and now we see that the public wants it. We have, I think it's 4-1 youth in America wants gay marriage. They're for it. They don't have a problem with it. People born after 1980 have no problem with gay marriage. So organically it's happened.
I don't think all people born after that year have no problem with it. I don't think that's accurate.
I'm sorry,
we have 40 but we have 41 states in the United States of America today that either ban same-sex marriage or provide for domestic partnerships with similar benefits. Right. We argue that at the Supreme Court, and we're not arguing the merits one way or another.
Right.
But simply the idea, Sandy, will go to you, that this is established. Again, the culture has spoken. We have popular television characters. We have popular television hosts. They're gay. Nobody seems to care. Gay marriage is spoken. It's done. The culture has spoken, Sandy.
You know, I don't believe that, Laura. And I always, you know, I'm old enough to remember what it was like when abortion was really popular. In the 80s, it was the same thing. The media was all over the abortion issue. It's inevitable. Everybody loves it. The Supreme Court has passed it. They never talked about anything about what was happening in abortion clinics, what was happening to the process, the procedure. And so everybody was, well, yeah, I guess I don't know that there's anything wrong with it. But until the other side came out, pro-life people that felt life was sacred, stayed with it. And finally, the truth of abortion came out. And so attitudes are changing. So they,
the country's still split on abortion. But your point is, there's not an overwhelming majority of people
in spite of it being legal,
abortion.
The majority of Americans don't like abortion.
Without any
There's no question about that. The same thing will happen with this. Our kids are the product of public schools. For 20 years, they've had one-way street in media and public schools. No wonder they poll the way they do. But when they hear the other side of the story, it will change. And it's only 9 states.
So let me get straight. So if the Supreme Court does rule in favor of same-sex marriage, either in California or affirming that DOMA is unconstitutional, if they make that decision, do you think the fight goes on? Are there going to be any politicians out there? Do you really see any politicians really arguing against gay marriage?
And politicians were dropping like flies on the pro-life movement too.
So you think it's an analogy?
Absolutely, and I think that when the truth is told, the whole story is told, people will change their minds.
Cathy, one thing that Justice Kagan actually brought up on, I believe it was Tuesday, during the Prop 8 argument, sort of surprising from Justice Kagan, she was saying, well, it's percolating, it perks. Issues like this perk through the populace, and it's percolating now, but she seemed herself very concerned that this might not be yet the time to step in on a case like Proposition 8. I don't know how she's ultimately going to vote, but even the New York Times, Washington Post reporting, the justices are very wary about stepping in and declaring that all these states, 41 states, are wrong in how they define marriage. So the justices, even the liberal ones, a broad-based ruling, I don't see it happening.
But this came out of nowhere. It really is a
Right.
movement that came out of nowhere. So that's
Right.
basically what she's saying. It's organic. It's going to be slow.
No, it didn't come
Who
out of
knows
nowhere.
how this is going to turn out? However, we have a
But you're
president
saying
and-
who knows how it's going to turn out? Yet Time Magazine, you're defending Time Magazine,
Well,
saying
I am
it's
defending
over.
Time Magazine
Do you
because
really
gay marriage
think it's
has
over?
won. It has won. I don't know if it's going to win tomorrow. It's going to win in June. I don't know if it's going to win next year. It has won. Seeing a same-sex couple kissing on the cover of a mainstream publication
Well,
is
let me just
not
say this about that,
alarming to
Kathy.
anybody.
I don't. I mean, when my kids go by magazine racks,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's gay or straight. I don't really want heterosexual close-up kisses for my kids to have
It's
to
two
see at
people
7
in
and
love.
8
I
years
have no
old.
problem with it.
You know,
well,
this is the.
like people with small children, I think it's not about gay or straight, but it's like
I have
it's
small
It's all like
children.
in your face, push, 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 push. Sandy.
Actually, I think this is a big overreach, and I think it'll have opposite reaction to what they're talking about. And we're talking about the impression all one way. And I want to give you an example. When you saw the Supreme Court protests covered this week, you didn't see the guy who was dressed up like a devil holding a cross, holding a sign that says, you know, heaven is going to be, or hell is going to be a lot of fun.
bet
It's going to be
hell is
marvelous.
fabulous.
I bet hell is fabulous. You didn't see that image, did you?
Was that a
And
pro-gay marriage or anti-gay?
Oh,
I don't even know who.
no,
which side is he on?
pro. He's a cross.
Oh, it could have been someone making fun of
No,
him.
no, not at all. There were lesbians and gays
confusing
dancing
imagery
with
there.
him. They were
I see.
dancing, and it was just actually the image was
Yeah,
piercing.
I think, and Kathy, you can weigh in on this. I think we have to be careful on this because I think all human beings should have dignity and respect across the board. I think people should be able to have a conversation about this. I think
Right.
a lot of folks who maybe they're Orthodox Jews, they're traditional Catholics, evangelical Christians, Muslims. These are good people. They're people of good belief and good standing. They don't want to feel like now they're the ones ostracized or they can't be part of civil dialogue today. And I think that's what they're concerned about. And I think they're very worried about a proclamation that their core beliefs are now hating or discriminating when that's not how they feel.
I don't think it has anything to do with religion. It has to do with people who are in love, who are going to be allowed to be married and have children and raise happy families. This is all that's happening. That's all that's happening. It has nothing to do with religion.
I predict lawsuits against Catholic schools and lawsuits against Muslim schools in Northern Virginia. That's what I.
No one can even prove
it's
the
an
Bible
affront
was
against people.
this.
No,
You can't
well, the
prove
Bible.
it.
You know, it's going to be a bad
That's a
news
whole-
for Christians.
We'll do that on our faith special. No, it's great to see both of you.